Judge Gray, how confident are you of getting on the ballot here in Kentucky?
Certainly. I think that the odds are strong. It's going to happen, but we do need some extra signatures on this, so go to lpky.org. Just help us out, get us on the ballot. You'll be proud that you did so.
Now, President Obama and Mitt Romney are not campaigning in Kentucky. Do you think that's an opportunity for the Libertarian Party?
It's an opportunity countrywide that I believe so strongly in Governor Gary Johnson. He's the most qualified person to be President of the United States that I know of. And I think that people, when they see that we will put in a coalition government, we will have, of course, Libertarians and Independents, but also in Republicans, Democrats, and then when these political parties are absolutely polarized now, they're bipolar politics in effect, but we'll have some of those highly placed in our administration so they can go and talk with their colleagues saying, get behind this idea, it's good for America, embrace it, we'll give credit all the way around. It's really an exciting thing.
What are your likes and dislikes of Obama and Romney?
Obama and Romney are so much the same in so many ways. You talk about putting our troops in harm's way all around the world. We have 900 to 1,000 military bases all around the world that are not necessary for our security. They keep us in conflict and keep us in fear. We say, let's declare peace, let's bring them home. The healthcare issue, they're both the same. It's galloping in the wrong direction. It's the wrong way to go. Let's change that, bring the free market back. Like when I was growing up, it wasn't even a topic of conversation in the 50s and 60s. We didn't have reasonable healthcare for reasonable prices, plenty of emergency rooms. Let's go back to that excellence. Education is failing our children. Allow the parents to decide where and how their children should be educated. We'll bring back excellence. Doesn't matter whether it's Romney or Obama. They haven't even had a budget in Washington for the last 3 years. We will submit a balanced budget to Congress. I'm so fearful for our country that today people need to know this, that for every dollar the federal government spends, we're borrowing 43 cents. We need to reduce that with the obesity of the federal government and give it back to the people.
Yeah, now the economy seems to be the biggest issue in this election.
It is.
What is your plan to fix the economy?
Well, first of all, you reduce government spending, like we were saying, the 43 cents, and we'll submit that balanced budget. But it takes much more than that. It takes jobs. And Romney and Obama are nibbling at the edges and criticizing each other. Governor Gary Johnson will actually take that straightforwardly. We will repeal the income tax. Now that sounds radical, but it really isn't. It goes back to our roots. What happens? Well, first of all, we save all of that money, $250 to $600 billion that now we as a country spend to keep tax records and file our tax returns. That's savings before you even talk about it, as we go to a retail consumption tax. But our goods and our agricultural products today, when we export them, have paid taxes on them, they have a competitive disadvantage around the world because they're competing against goods that have not. Same thing, we're importing goods that have not paid taxes against our domestic products that have. I was sitting next to an executive from Nike on a plane. I'm doing a lot of traveling, I can't remember which one, but he was saying, Judge Gray, if we were to repeal the income tax, most companies would bring their manufacturing back to the United States of America. Imagine how many millions of jobs would come from that. It's a reverse outsourcing. Governor Gary Johnson and Judge Jim Gray will do this. Those guys aren't even talking about it.
Now, it's definitely an uphill battle for all third-party candidates.
It is.
Do you hope at least to join in on the discussion and get these issues out there?
Absolutely. We are dividing our campaign into two phases. The first phase will end at the end of September. If we're polling well enough, we'll be in the presidential debates. There are 3 of them. Actually, one is here in Kentucky. One for vice president. I cannot wait to debate against Joe Biden. But we will merit your vote. So your vote is your own. However you're going to vote, keep it to yourself. But when you get called by someone in a polling group on the phone, say, I support Governor Gary Johnson. Get us in the debates. They will certainly be more interesting substantively. We'll make Obama and Romney talk about issues they do not want to talk about. The failed war on drugs. Let's treat hemp like cotton, for heaven's sake. Here in Kentucky and in the Midwest, you're absolutely ideally set to raise hemp, which you can get as much of a jolt from as you can smoking your shirt, for heaven's sake. But we can treat that as the industrial product it is. We can do all of these things, address issues they do not want to address. Let's get us in the debates. We will merit your vote. to the degree that, I promise, everybody that votes for Governor Johnson, Judge Jim Gray, 2 years from now will be proud that they had, and 60% of the people that did not will truly wish that they had. Let's do it now.
Now back to hemp real quick. Sure. I know it's been tried here in Kentucky before, and
Yes.
I think I remember that the DEA controls hemp production.
Yes.
Would you like to see that go back to the FDA, or is this a constitutional
Look,
issue?
When we repealed and came to our senses and repealed alcohol prohibition, we did not say that now Kentucky, Indiana will serve alcohol. All we did is reduce the federal function to assisting each state in enforcing its own laws. That's what we would do with regard to any of these other drugs. You in Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, wherever, are fully adult enough to decide how best to serve and protect your people. So I'm convinced that every state will choose to raise hemp. Those that don't will lose out.
Now, to kind of pivot for a moment to one of Kentucky's senators, Rand Paul.
I've heard of him.
What do you think? Do you think he's a Republican or more of a Libertarian?
First of all, I think his father is an absolute hero, that he has mainstreamed this conservative, libertarian, liberal, classic conservative liberal way of thought. And Rand Paul was raised by his father, by the way. I admire him. I saw him at Freedom Fest in Nevada not too long ago. I admire the guy. I think that you've chosen well.